it is that God wants to do. Thank you.
Yeah, as we think about the Easter or resurrection celebration, people are thinking about church. Maybe the one of the two times a year that they might think about coming with you to be in the presence of the Lord. When people walk into that lobby, they should experience the love of the Lord. Whether they have been walking with Him for 50 years or whether they have no idea who He is, they should experience the love of the Lord. When they come into this place, they should experience the tangible presence of the Lord. That they should feel Jesus. Because as we come together, you know, if you have a relationship with the Lord, you should feel Jesus wherever you go. But let's say somebody that is not used to being in the presence of the Lord comes into a place and says, I don't know what it is about that place, but I feel loved in the lobby and I feel the presence of the Lord so strong in the sanctuary. I need more of that. It's addictive. And so I just want to remind you of that wherever you are. You're loving, you're worshiping, and we're creating an environment for people to get to know the Creator of the universe. Well, today we're going to continue on in our series on intentional relationships. Could we say that together? Intentional relationships. And so for the last 3 weeks, we've been talking about our vertical relationship with the Lord. And we looked at David and his indiscretions and sin and how he responded in Psalm 51. And we looked at how we are aware of our shortcomings so that God can go there with us. And then we looked at creating space, also with David, out of Psalm 132. 103. And we talked about creating space for the Lord to show up in our life because we're so incredibly busy that we often rush past what He's doing. Remember, our relationship vertically with the Lord. Last week, we looked at integrity out of the life of Daniel chapter 6, and how that when we are by ourselves or when nobody's looking, we still are the person that nobody sees, and that is our integrity. If we got things going on in our mind or in our life that we're trying to hide, guess what? God sees it, and that clogs up our vertical relationship with Him. Well, after that, if we get our vertical relationship with the Lord in the right spot, and we keep it in the right spot, then we get to do the part where we love each other. Would you just look at somebody next to you and either verbally, if you're an extrovert, or internally, just say, I have to love you. Okay, you can say it with your eyes. That's fine. Okay, thank you, Cassie, for showing the introverts how to do it. You know, like, I have to love you. It's a good thing. But when you look at our society, when you look at our families, when you look at the news, this has gone too far. Okay, now it's just some of you said, I get to love you. Do I have to love you? No. But when we look at our relationships that are all around us, it's really messy, isn't it? And I want to tell you that it's messy because many of the times our relationship vertically is messed up. And so the relationships this way are just complicatedly messy. And we mess them up more because we refuse to stop and go back and get this relationship with the Lord right. So I want to encourage you, everything that we're going to talk about today is based upon our vertical relationship with God. And so if you're trying to apply these principles without a strong vertical relationship with God, around here we call it our emotionally healthy spirituality. Thank you, Gloria, for that testimony. Because when we get this right, then guess what? We have overflow for this. But if we just focus on this without the overflow of this, we miss it. I think it's important that we start with the why. We are to love the people around us. Well, remember when you were a kid and your mom, you asked your mom, why must I do this? And did she ever? Oh, well, you already beat me to the punch. Because I what? Because I said so. Every day. That's how many moms is that a generational bondage now that you have passed down to your kids and your okay, all right. Well, I would like to propose to you today that Jesus did say so. But it's deeper than just because I said so. So John chapter 15, verse 12. My command is this. This is Jesus speaking. My command is this. Love each other as I have loved you. Love each other as I have loved you. Everybody say the word action. Love is action. Write it down. Love is action. Jesus could say this because what was his action? He came from heaven to earth to show us the way. He died on the cross for you and for me. And I'll tell you what, that's just a pretty incredible action. And he says to us, love is action. That we are to love each other as I have loved you. Not in theory, but in action. You see, we were designed to love by a loving designer. A loving creator designed you to be a good lover. You were designed to receive love, and you were designed to give love in action. It's the way we are created. If you read the owner's manual for whatever it is, the latest appliance, the latest and greatest appliance. And we got one of those things, it's like the Instant Pot, only my wife did her research and she says that it's better than the Instant Pot. And so I all I can do is screw the lid on that thing. That's all I know to do. And then I have to go and I have to read the instructions every single time, which is why I don't use the thing. I ask, okay, which button do you push? Would you just read the instructions? No, I don't want to read the instructions. I'll cook in the regular pot. But in life, isn't it that way? I mean, we're like this. This is how you were designed. Receive love, give love. Receive love, give love. Receive love, give love. I don't want to read the instructions. And so we mess it all up. We don't know how to receive love and we don't know how to give love. Well, I'm going to take you to the instruction book this morning and we're going to look at 3 chapters that you read this week on your reading plan. And we are going to look at the Sermon on the Mount, the whole entire thing. We're not going to read the whole entire thing, but we're going to refer to much of it. I thought it was interesting, Cassie, this morning that you chose the Matthew chapter 5 for our daily, our soap in the Line Fork training meeting. We're taking a missions trip to Line Fork over the week between Palm Sunday and Easter. And we are going to do discipleship to prepare for that. We're going to train as disciples, and that was this morning's. So, before we look at the specifics in Matthew 5, 6, and 7, I want to debunk some ideas. And then I want to make some correlations. So the sign back there says, read God's Word more and sin less. Now that's scientific. That is, when you read the Word of God 4 or more times a week, statistically, you will be able to resist the temptations that are besetting people. It's scientifically, if you want to study, I can give that to you. Now, here is something I sometimes will quote, give statistics or something, and I'm like, okay, where did I get that? And what is the footnote for that? So I quoted something last week, and somebody challenged me. It wasn't during the sermon. Challenged me afterwards, and I was like, now where did I get that? It was a percentage about divorce. And so I went back and I looked and I found the data that I had based the comment on But then I looked more closely at the data. You see, statistics can tell you anything, right? You can make statistics say whatever you want them to say. Oh, there was a study on this, eggs are bad for you. Oh, don't ever eat an egg because they're high in cholesterol. Now the eggs are the best thing ever. You know what? I didn't obey the first study. I just kept on eating eggs and I'm still fine. Grew up on a chicken farm, so have chickens. But here's the thing. In relationships, this is what the studies have been interpreted as saying. That the church, or people in the church, have just as high or even higher divorce rate than people in the world. Now, I've heard that, and I went back and I looked at the study. They're right and they're wrong. And I'm going to tell you why. There's another study that says that people in the church that are actively involved, what's our word? Action, right? Loving with action, that are actively involved, reading the Word of God, in fellowship, doing the community, have a significantly lower divorce rate by a large percentage. Here's what the study and the data said. Multiple studies that I looked at said that those who call themselves Christians but aren't participating in church, they're not participating in a community that is actively spurring them on in their discipleship walk, are more likely to divorce than the norm. But those that are actively involved in what we would call discipleship and growth are far less likely to divorce. So whenever you look at that study, are they both right? Well, yes, because if you call yourself a Christian and you're not a disciple, my question is, are you really a Christian? But you check the box and you call yourself this, but your actions are this. So how does this apply to Jesus? And he says, love your neighbor as I have loved you. Love one another as I have loved you. Well, you can talk the good talk, folks. And you can say, hey, I'm a Christian. How many of you have ever had a Christian treat you absolutely poorly? And I say, Christian, treat you absolutely poorly. And then you've had a Christian who you didn't deserve to be treated as well as you were, but because they had the love of Jesus in them, they began to treat you the way heaven has treated you, and that's with grace and mercy. Don't we love that? Don't we love that? I mean, that's like, if we could just receive that all the time, it would be amazing. Guess what? That means somebody has to give that for somebody else to be able to receive that. So as I looked at this, and I looked at Matthew 5, 6, and 7, I began to draw these correlations, and with the lack of habits, and Jesus is talking all about habits in the Sermon on the Mount, with the lack of habits and social support structure, i.e. the church, and what we would call cultural religious services, there's a significant tanking in what we would call healthy relationships. So let's look at Matthew chapter 7 and verse 12. And we're going to start here. And this is kind of Jesus' summary in this whole relationship part. And then we're going to go back and look at 5. And we're going to look a little bit at 7. And we're going to begin to put some meat on these bones on how we really have emotionally healthy relationships. So this is what Jesus says. So in everything, when are we supposed to do this? Not when we feel like it. Not in the morning if you're a morning person, or at night if you're a night person. But this is everything, all the time. This is whenever you are breathing, whenever you are alive. In everything, do to others what you would have them do to you. We call this the golden rule. Contrary to some who say, he who has the gold makes the rules. That's not the golden rule. the golden rule is treat people the way you would like to be treated. Because love is what? Action. Thank you. Wow. We got to drill this one home. Love is action. Say it together. Love is action. Say it again. Love is action. Again. Love is action. Don't tell me you love me. Show me you love me. Is that fair enough? I mean, that's straight to what Jesus said. So this comment that Jesus is making, or this teaching, is not something that was foreign during this time of Jewish history. Rabbi Hillel, several years before this, was saying something very similar, as were the other rabbis. This is not new. However, the way Jesus presents it is new. He says that whatever you do, you are to do the way you want others to do to you. Now, the way Rabbi Hillel would have said it was, don't do to someone what you don't want them to do to you. Presented it in the negative. Jesus is saying relationships must be intentional, not reactional. Hey, if you don't want me, if you don't want to be spit upon, then don't spit upon somebody. That's what Rabbi Hillel would have said. Jesus said, if you want to be treated with respect, what should you do to somebody else? Treat them with respect. If you want to be treated with honor, what do? You proactively treat them with honor. You don't wait for the reaction. Love is, okay, there you go. Love is action. But Jesus takes 3 whole chapters to describe what he means in this do to others what you would have them do to you. So let's look at this Sermon on the Mount. Start in chapter 5. We don't have time to read all of these things, but 5 verse 21 and 22 says that vented anger ruins relationships. Anybody ever give full vent to your anger, unfortunately, and have had a relationship ruined, or you've ruined a relationship? This is, Jesus says, look, if you do that, you're going to wreck relationships. So in light of chapter 7 and verse 12, what would you say would be the antidote to full vent of your anger? If you're to be proactive and you're to love in action, what would you do that would be the opposite? Calm down! Oh, did I say? Wrong intonation. Respond calmly. But I can't. Well, maybe you need to come up and have some prayer. Become a little more emotionally healthy. Because you're going to wreck relationships when you give full vent to your anger. How about this? 534. Reconcile quickly when disagreeing. Reconcile quickly when disagreeing. This is the principle. I'm not quoting the verse, but how about this? What's the opposite that we oftentimes will do? We'll let things drag on for days, weeks. Don't raise your hand. How about the silent treatment in the home? You don't talk to the other person for a week or 2 weeks, and well, they'll get it. They'll get it sometime. I'll just hold them out. It's the Cold War all over again. Instead of saying, no, you know what? I'm going to have a proactive conversation, and I'm going to give you some tools a little bit. Things that if you've been through EHR, you'll be like, yes, recognize that one, that one, that one. Oh, I need to practice that one again. 27. Your mind controls your relationships. Now, in that context, he's talking about looking lustfully on another person. But what he's really saying is that if your mind is going somewhere, your body will follow, good or bad. Matthew 5:31 through 37. Keep your promises in relationships. Oh, how many times have we promised something that we couldn't deliver on? Hey, If you promise something, whether it's he's talking about divorce, but if you made a promise, follow through on it. Paul says, as far as within you lies, be at peace with all men. And I recognize there are times when you can't be at peace with people that don't want to have peace. Scripture says, let them go. Let them go. Verse 38, 538. Forgive quickly. Now this is proactive. It is forgiving quickly and saying, I choose to forgive even before you ask for forgiveness. Wouldn't it be nice if everybody just came and said, would you forgive me for that? Wouldn't that be great? Oh, it'd be so easy. You just wait, kind of chilling. Oh, they'll come back and they'll ask me for forgiveness. I know this is coming. You're going to be waiting a long time for some people. Would you walk in forgiveness if they continue to do those things? I'm not saying stay in abusive relationships. I'm saying we have to have clear boundaries on some things. But there are people that I continually have to forgive, that you have to walk in relationship with because your proximity or tied together from children that you see the ex or whatever it is, but there are continually opportunities to walk in forgiveness, and we need to be proactive on that. Matthew 5, 43 to 48. It says, pray for difficult people. Anybody have difficult people in your life? Wow. Pray for them. That's what Jesus says. Pray for them. I don't like that verse. I wish that I could take that verse and, we could just pray for them. Let me just read that section there. You have heard that it has been said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. Let's just grab right onto that scripture right now. And then he says, but I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. We'd be preaching this a whole lot differently if we were in China right now. That you may be children of your Father in heaven. He causes the sun to rise on the evil and the good, and he sends rain on the righteous and on the unrighteous. And if you love those who love you, what reward will you get? Are not even the tax collectors doing that? In other words, the tax collectors were the people of the day, that they were like the dregs of society, the crooks. And if you greet only your own people, what are you doing more than others? Do not even the pagans do that? Then he says this, verse 48. Be perfect as I am perfect. Woo! Not there yet. How about this? Matthew 7. First 6 verses, he talks about judging others. Could I encourage you in this whole love in action thing that if you want to be judged the way you judge others, keep on doing it. If you don't want to be judged with the harshness with which you're judging others right now, then you better have some action and do things differently. Because you will be judged by the same standard that you judge others. Ouch! And then we come to our scripture. So in everything, do to others what you would have them do to you. Some of you have read Bob Goff's book, Love Does. And I love this quote out of his book. He says, be the kind of love, doesn't say be the kind of lover, be the kind of love that God created and demonstrated is a costly one because it involves sacrifice and presence. It's a love that operates more like sign language than being spoken outright. Isn't that an interesting picture? It's a love that operates more like sign language than it is being spoken outright. Words are cheap, aren't they? You can say, oh, I love you. 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 But the sign language is when we actually put action behind our words. And Bob says there really is no love spoken unless there is sign language behind it. Love is what? Love is action. If you get one thing as you leave out of here, I want you to leave with that. Love is action. We must act, or we are not really loving the way Christ asked us to love. So here's a little review for you if you've been through emotionally healthy relationships. Can anybody remember what the community temperature reading is? Can you get all 5 of them? Other than Cassie and Sherry, can you get all 5 of them? Well, wonderful. This will be good for us this morning. We're going to give you some practical ways to put love into action in your relationships horizontally. Okay? So, write these down, and these are just great little reminders, or maybe for the first time, these are great things to put into your tool belt to learn how to relate to other people. So, it's setting the tone really for healthy communication in this thing. So the first part of the community temperature reading, and these are from Pete Scazzaro, and in the Emotionally Healthy Relationships series, this is a whole week that we go over, but you're going to get it in 5 minutes. So hang on. The first one is I appreciate. So I want you to think about something that you appreciate in someone that is close to you. I'll give you an example. I just told my wife a minute ago, I appreciate the way she has all the veggies on the counter in an art sculpture in our kitchen. It looks amazing. The potatoes, all the different colors of potatoes, and the tomatoes on their little vines, and the bananas coming out from the little tree, and then we have the apples over here. And it's like, I just want to stand there, and I want to look at this artwork. Oh yeah, and by the way, it's food, and I can eat it. But I appreciate that, because it's the extra piece that is not, she doesn't need to do it that way. I mean, a bag of potatoes or whatever, be there, you would still eat it. But I appreciate that. So what's one thing that you appreciate about someone who's close to you or around you? Write it down, and you're going to express that. Maybe as we leave here, or you want to lean over and just say it right now. That's fine. It's okay to talk in church if you're processing the subject matter. So if you want to do that, that's good. You can just say, I appreciate. Nobody appreciates anything. Okay, so we'll move on to the next thing. After you have this appreciation piece, you don't appreciate me, Bob? I'm sorry. Everybody say, I'm puzzled. This is the way Pete Scazzaro says it. In my language, I use the term, could you help me understand something? That's a more Durant-ism of doing this. I don't typically use the word I'm puzzled, although now I do use the word I'm puzzled a little bit more. Here's the way this one would work. I'm puzzled as to why you were late to our meeting for the 3rd time in a month. I'm just puzzled about that, Could you help me understand? So I had a situation yesterday. I didn't use these exact words, but I was ready to rip one of my children a new one, and I thought for a second, I had it all figured out. I was like, here's the evidence. This is the way it is. I just took a deep breath. My wife always can help me to do that, take a deep breath. And I'm going to approach this from the help me understand perspective, okay? I had faulty evidence that I was making my decision on. I mean, it looked like the right evidence. Everything lined up. There was just two little slight things that I wasn't sure about, but I overlooked those because I was so sure that the evidence was right, and the evidence was wrong. Thank God that I used this tool and said, could you help me understand, let's just discuss this before I come in with guns blazing and just, woo. I appreciate my wife for helping me. You're listening. Thank you. That was good. But how many times do we do that? We go in with guns blazing, and then we realize, oh, I probably should have asked a question before I did that, because love is what? Action. Folks, this is work. If we do our relationships on emotional responses, and by the way, love is not an emotion, love is an. And so when we exercise our will into a situation to love someone when they're maybe difficult or whether challenging or whatever, but when we exercise our will, it takes work. And I don't know about you, but I don't always like work. I like the easy way. Okay? And so the easy way is to jump to a conclusion. Let's get this out. Let's get it done with. And let's knock this thing out of here. And then we'll get on. And I'll feel better. And they'll feel worse. Not the love that Jesus put on us, okay? How about this one? I notice and I prefer. Now, the great thing about this statement is that I'm not asking you to fix it. I'm not fussing at you. I'm not telling you that you're a bad person. I'm just saying, I notice this, but my preference would be this. You're being true to your desires. This is sometimes the way we have, the way we implement love. Well, I love that person, and so I'm just not going to say anything. And I'm going to bear the cross myself. And it's all going to be okay because Jesus said, love one another. I'm going to be all right. At least when I get to heaven, I'm going to be all right, but I'm not okay now. But this gives voice to what we're feeling. Anybody have feelings? 2 people have feelings. The rest of us, we're... Okay, here's a real life one. I noticed that you turn the lights off when you leave, the outside lights off at the church, but I prefer them to be left on overnight because I think that it makes the church look more inviting. Okay? I just noticed this. I'm not saying you're a bad person. You're doing what you thought that the pastor wanted because he's such a tightwad that you wanted to save the 1 penny a night. I get that, okay? I appreciate that, okay? We'll go back to I appreciate that. That's wonderful. But I've recognized that in this season, I noticed, first of all, that it's really dark when I come into the church and I go up to the I would prefer that the lights would be on. So now I have to retrain people with a little I notice and I prefer. See, I just retrained you. I noticed and I appreciate and now I prefer. All right? Good. It's the second switch to the left. It always stays on. All right? Good. Here's a new information one. Now, I don't know what it's like for you in your household, if you have anybody that needs to know about new information from time to time. But I've been told in my house that I'm not the greatest communicator, that I think things and I assume that I said them when I maybe didn't say them, but everybody should know because I thought it that everybody knows it, okay? That's just, yeah, some of you resonate with that idea. And I'm sure that I said it because apparently I say everything, and apparently I didn't say it, and nobody knows what they don't know that I didn't say that they thought. Anyway, you get it. So, you appreciate my vulnerability, right? So here's some new information. The kids' Pinewood Derby race is once again on the same day as the church cleanup day, like it was last year. And so we're going to need to figure out what that looks like to be able to do the church cleanup day, because I'm definitely coming for the pizza and the chocolates, and what that would look like for having the kids be able to do the Pinewood Derby thing at school. That's new information, okay? We did not have that communication before, but it is now on video that I can say we did have that conversation, okay? Okay, no conversation. The information, the new information has been transferred. So, all right, now here's another one. And this is all because love is what? Love is action. So here's a hope and a dream that I have. I really hope that our time at Foursquare Convention in Nashville in May is just a tremendous family time, and that we can really enjoy being together, and that we have lots of fun while we're there doing Foursquare business. That's what I hope. Okay? So do you see how these tools can help us to be intentional? Because none of these conversations just happen without being intentional. And if we're to love each other as Jesus loved us, then we must take the love that we receive from heaven and we must spread that to the people with which we live. Our ability to love is in direct proportion to the amount of love that we're receiving from the Father in heaven. If we're not receiving love from heaven, none of these tools are going to work for you. None of what Jesus said in Matthew 5, 6, and 7 is going to work for you. It's all based upon receiving the love from heaven. Get this right, and then you have a fighting chance right here. You don't get this right, and you're going to blow up everything right here. Not going to work. Love is... Now this brings this home. What are you going to do? Every single one of you have a choice, and not every one of you are going to make the right choice. You know how I know that? Because Jesus ends this passage, Matthew 7, he goes into this part about entering through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction. Many are they that find it. But small is the gate. If you know Pilgrim's Progress, he calls it the wicket gate. It's a door within a door. It's a little tiny door within the big door. He said, narrow is the road that leads to life, and only a few will find it. Those are sad words for me. Because I look at Matthew 5, 6, and 7, and I say, it's all right here, church. This is how to have relationships that are lasting and intentional. It's all here, but this is hard work. And we sometimes like it easy more than we like it to be fulfilling and real. So will you be one of these people that intentionally seeks to have healthy horizontal relationships? I want to be one of those people. Will you be one? Will you be one that finds that wicket gate where the camel would have to go down to go through? Will you be the one that says, yes, I'm going to put in the hard work to do this, and I'm going to put in the hard work to be in the presence of the Lord, to find that place of silence and solitude, to hear the love from heaven, the action from heaven that I can then take and I can put into action for those people that are around me? Because here, church, is what I see. I see that we love God so much. A group of people that love Him so much that we can't help but love the people around us the way Christ loved us. We can't help it. It's like Jeremiah's fire shut up in his bones. We have to love. We're a church that loves the lost. I want you to look around and I want you to see the empty seats. Those are seats for people who are lost. Who's going to love them enough to bring them? Bring them. Don't tell them what they need. Show them what they need. We're families that love each other even when we are at our worst. Oh, the pain of family is that we see each other when we're at our worst, and we still choose to love the way Jesus loves. That's what I see, church. I see that we are a people, neighbors, co-workers that choose to have difficult conversations to overcome relational obstacles. We're not just doormats. We're not just the rug that people walk on. But we have those difficult conversations because we love people. We're friends who care about each other so much to the point that we're willing to trust enough to talk about each other's blind spots. That's the nitty-gritty of intentional relationships. Who loves you enough to tell you that you have a booger hanging out of your nose? Seriously, if you don't have somebody in your life that can come up and tell you the tough things, the blind spots, you got toilet paper on your shoe, you got whatever, then they really don't love you. Seriously. I see people who are willing to go here. So I ask you these questions. And I want you to answer these. I want you to write down these answers to these questions. Who would you say, or who are the most important relationships in your life? You notice I did not say what are the most important relationships in your life. I said who. Who are the most important relationships in your life? Maybe it's a brother. Maybe it's a sister. Maybe it's somebody here at church. Maybe it's a spouse. Maybe it's a child, niece or nephew. Who are the most important relationships in your life? Second question. How will you invest in them this week? Yesterday, I had a counseling appointment here with someone. And I had planned to be here 30 minutes before the time. And my 7-year-old daughter came out just before I was ready to leave. She caught me and she said, "Daddy, where are you going? Can I come along?" I was like, well, it's probably not going to be the type of thing that you're going to enjoy. A lot of times if I'm coming to a meeting, we go get donuts, we bring donuts, we come in, it's great. She loves it. And she said, "Remember that journal that you bought me? Could we do that together?" Now I have a choice to make. Am I going to be just on time for this meeting and spend 30 minutes journaling with my daughter? Or am I going to say, no, we'll do that later? And what do I tell her by saying that? They're more important. She already knows I'm going to the church to meet somebody. They're more important than I am right now. And I immediately said, okay, I'm going to pull in at 8:59 and 59 seconds, and I'm going to apologize for the people who are sitting in the parking lot saying, because she, and I told them, this is exactly what I told them. I said, she is more important than you are to me. Because if I'm going to put love in action, then I need to do it at home first. How will you invest in them this week? Maybe planned, maybe spontaneous, but you need to do it. Third question is, what will you do to intentionally show your love? What will you do to intentionally show your love? Every one of us are on this journey of learning to live. Jesus said that this Sermon on the Mount, you're not going to get it just because you heard it one time. You read it one time. It's like, wow, that'd be great if we read this and all of a sudden it exuded from our life. This is a lifelong journey, and we're going to have to learn to live the way Jesus loved. Who are the most important relationships in your life? How will you invest in them this week? And what will you do to intentionally show your love? I wrote this prayer, and I want to invite you to pray this with me, because this is an area, no matter how many times I have been through emotionally healthy relationships, and I think it's 4 now, I still need to grow in these areas. And so I asked the Lord for this. Father, as I receive your love, may I lavish your love on others around me the way you have loved me. Give me courage as I learn to live a life of intentional love. Show me who to love and how to love them most effectively. In Jesus' name, amen. I want to invite you to pray this prayer as we close. And then remember that love is what? Because when we leave this place, we immediately have to have action, or we miss the point of what Jesus said. So if you'd like to pray this prayer, would you stand with me and we can pray it together? Maybe with your hands lifted up in surrender, whatever the Lord wants to do. Father, as I receive your love, may I lavish your love on others around me the way you have loved me. Give me courage as I learn to live a life of intentional love. Show me who to love and how to love them most effectively. In Jesus' name, amen. As you go from this place, church, love is action. Let us do it well, and may the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust Him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power